All right, guys, so in this video, I'm gonna go through what's called a coaching pod. Now, what a coaching pod is where we take clients who are at similar revenue levels and put them on a call once a week in a very small group where they can communicate with each other, come on, get a little bit of training, and then we do a Q&A at the end. So what you guys could take from this video is how to run your client fulfillment, maybe learn some things that I talk on that maybe you didn't know before, and then at the end, there's a Q&A section where you can see issues clients are having, and then I solve them live time. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. What's up, guys? How we doing? All right. Yeah.
Hey,
What's up? What's up? Happy Tuesday.
how are you?
Good.
Morning.
Good to see you guys. Good morning. All
Morning.
right. So I'm stepping in for today. So I'm happy to do it. So what I'm going to do is go through what I was kind of instructed to do a little bit about. It was mostly to do with offers, and then I was told to go into a Q&A. Okay, so any questions you guys have, feel free to shoot from the hip. Yeah, we'll just rock and roll. So what I'm going to do is I like to show stuff visually. So I'm going to pull up, I'll just create this on the fly. I haven't done this before or anything, but the big thing in terms of creating offers that I think keeps it really simplistic for people is three things. So if I'm creating an offer from scratch, or you guys essentially are your business right now. So the goal is we want to create something that is valuable for people to buy. Okay, so right off the top of my head, if I'm what can I sell that people want? It's usually going to be fitness, wealth, or making money, right? You guys are all here because you want to make more money. I'm assuming the main point is you want to make money. And then the last one's relationships. Okay, so you guys have heard this 100 times. The reason that this is usually great for building an offer is because this is what everyone wants more of. Stuff that some people will struggle with if they don't do it right is they'll say, well, I'm a mindset coach. I'm a life coach. I'm a wardrobe coach. I don't know. The issue is well, you have to convince that person that by changing their mindset, it will get them more of this, right? Which isn't quite as obvious to people. So if you say, hey, I help people unblock trauma through drinking chocolate milk, they're like, great, but why do I care if I unblock trauma? You'd have to tie that back into because you're going to lose 20 pounds, because you're going to make more money, because you're going to have better relationships. That's where people disconnect in offers. Okay, if I'm a life coach, why do I care if I have a life coach? Well, it better be around these three things. The reason that Elite CEOs is a pretty straightforward offer, it's like, hey, I'll help you build your business. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I see the value. Or it's like fitness. Hey, I'll help you lose weight. Yeah, I see the value. Or it's like, hey, I help people not get divorced. It's like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. What we want to stay away from is you can sell whatever you want, but the benefit has to be obvious, and it has to be obvious very quickly, because strangers is how you become wealthy. You do not become wealthy from people who know you. You become wealthy from strangers. So if a stranger sees your stuff and doesn't connect the dot quickly, you're screwed, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing, then we'll move into Q&A, is how do I make an offer more valuable? Alex Hormozi put out a book, good friend of mine, called $100 Million Offers, okay? Highly recommend you read it if you haven't. If I just summarize that whole book into one page, it's very simple, okay? This is his formula. He calls it determined outcome. So what that means is, do they want what I'm selling, okay? If they don't want what you're selling, you're not gonna do well. So you got determined outcome. I forget the second thing, but I think it's perceived risk, which means how likely is it I'll hit my goal? Okay, and I'll give you guys an example at the end, and then we'll go into Q&A. Okay, then underneath that, and he has he has a top and a bottom, okay? Then underneath that, he has time, and then over to the right, he had effort. And what he basically is saying is the best offer in the world is something everybody wants, where there's very little risk, where it takes no time, and there's no effort. So let's take elite CEOs, for example. Everybody wants to make more money, check. Perceived risk, 50-50. If you guys don't work, you're probably going to fail. So that's what makes it harder for us to sell people, is we have to convince them that the risk is lower than the upside. That's tough at times. Time, you have to put in time. Effort, you have to put in effort. So the best offer I could make for elite CEOs, if it was ethical, is I'd say you will make $100 million with no risk, or I'll give you all your money back. It'll take you 3 seconds, and all you have to do is click a button on your computer. And you guys will be like, holy shit. Oh, and you would all buy my stuff and I'd be a multi-billionaire. But that's not ethical. That's not the truth. But the companies that get the biggest, if you look at go high level, maybe like Sweets Candies by Warren Buffett, Amazon, you'll notice that they have more of those components. Amazon, click, buy, done. Sweets Candies, candy, eat it. right? Now, if other people do exactly the same thing as you, it gets harder because now there's more competition, right? But you guys get the concept, okay? So that's the quick training for today. Let's go into Q&A. And if you guys need me to clarify anything or what I said didn't make sense, please speak up. I'm here to help you guys learn. I'm not here to make myself look smart. So if something I said doesn't make sense, just shoot right at the hip, okay? Not everyone all at once.
Tanner, what is your strategy for making your first sale?
Great question. So I always start with the lowest hanging fruit. What's the easiest thing I can do? Okay. I don't know if you've seen this training, but we have what we call a 5 guys and a 2-step. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I can
All
research.
good. That's perfect. So this is a great question. So let me show you what that is. Okay. So what I usually do is, what's the easiest way we can make a sale right out of the gates? People who know who we are, right? So our following. So let me show you what a 2-step is. This is a 2-step. Look what I did. This is an example. I compiled a document of all the most important things from $100 million leads by Alex Hormozi. It's a 27-page document. It took me 15 hours to make it. If you want it, share my post, screenshot your share, drop in the comment section, and myself or my team will send you the notes. If you don't do that, you won't get it. Look what's happened. I've had 461 comments, 256 shares. And then guess what I do once they comment? I'll go in and I'll start a conversation, okay? So let's see if I can show you what a conversation looks like. Let's see if I got this guy because my team does it. Okay. So if there's someone who I've talked to in the past, I don't continue to follow up, as you can see. But if they haven't, what I would do is I go, hey, here's the link to those notes. Hope you enjoy it. I'm curious, what is the current bottleneck in your business? I may have more relevant trainings for you. And then the guy's like, well, my goal is this. And I'm like, what's your struggle? And he's like, well, it's this. I'm like, well, what have you tried? And it starts the conversation very naturally because they've given you permission to message them. That's a 2-step. Let me show you a different example. This is called a 5 guys. Okay. So a 5 guys is like this. This is literally how I do it. It's super simple. What's your offer? What do you sell? Just in short, fitness. What do you sell?
Personal training slash powerlifting coaching.
Okay, check this out. I'm looking for 5 guys who want to lose 20 pounds in the next 4 weeks without giving up cake or soda. If that's you, comment 5 down below and I'll send more details.
Okay.
P.S. This isn't free. You know, if you want to do that. So, because I guess some people are like, well, Tanner, they all think it's free. And it's the same concept. That's the easiest way out of the gate. Now, let's say you have 0 followers or you're like, Tanner, I've done that. I haven't had any luck. The next thing is you can go to Instagram and you can do what's called a boosted post. Has anyone seen what a boosted post is?
I've seen the options to have some of my posts boosted.
Right. And so all that does is you're telling Instagram, show this post to people like this in this age range, and then those people will interact with your post and you can message from there. And it's easy because if someone follows me, I can say, hey, David, saw you followed me, you know, what's your business goal? Instead of like when it's a cold DM, you're kind of like, hey, Tanner, cool car. And I'm like, yeah. And there's a little bit more on edge. So that would be in order of what I would do first, because all you need is conversations. And then from there is as you're having conversations, you set calls, and as you set calls, you make sales.
Right.
Guys, for elite CEOs, the only metric I focus on to make more sales is get more calls. You know what I do to get more calls? We have to have more conversations. You know what I have to do to get more conversations? Usually more ads. You know what I have to do to get ads to work better? I have to have a better messaging team. So it all stems from like, if I need sales, what's the easiest things I can do for? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, and I actually thought about doing a boosted post a couple of days ago, but I was like, I don't even have anything that I like firm like offer that I'm gonna try to gear people toward. So
don't stress about that so much. When I was in your guys' shoes and I was starting, I just knew I was in great shape. Like I was super jacked, I was super shredded. You guys can look up my pictures. Like I looked like I knew what I was doing. So I would just say, hey, I'm looking for 5 people who want to lose 20 pounds in the next 4 weeks without giving up all the foods they love.
Yeah.
DM me 5 if that's you. And then what I do is you're going through it. Keep it in mind, most people, regardless of what your offer is, they're going to want to get in better shape, which means they either want to build muscle or 90% of the time they want to what? Lose fat.
Right.
And so if you know how to help people build muscle and lose fat, then all you're doing, bro, is you're listening to what they want and then you just give them what they want. Business coaching is a little more complex because I can't just tell you guys like, hey, stop eating bananas and you'll be rich. It doesn't work like that. You guys have to do specific things. But in fitness and weight loss, it's usually very simple. And I'll be frank with you. What does everyone want? They want to eat bad food and have a six pack. And so I always did a version of if it fits your macros because I was like, that's the ethical way I can tell people they can eat bad and still look good. And I would explain to them, I say, look, if you have 5 cups of spinach or broccoli, that's better than 5 pounds of donuts. But we all know, and I did this in my marketing, I was like, you're never going to not have a donut again. So it's how can you have a donut and still look amazing? Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Do you have anything else on that? Like, is anything unclear?
I don't know if so. I'm just broadcasting that through my Facebook feed or
Facebook, Instagram, etc. Like, and what I like to do on Facebook here is when you have, you know how you have the option to do like the little this thing. I love it like this specifically. So like, it's not showing the option now. Oh, like this. I love
okay,
it like this, bro. Because it
gotcha,
stands
gotcha.
out so well. I love it like that.
So like add a little flair to the post. Just
Yeah,
don't
like
just
I like it. I
do-
like it when it's mostly text like this because it's easy for people to spot. I
Gotcha.
don't like it when it's like I don't like like the 2-step is going to be like this because it's too long. But a Five Guys post, I like it when the Five Guys post is not in this text format. I like it when it's in this text
Gotcha.
format. So
And
you
then
got to make it short. It's got to be short enough text that it will work. And then yeah,
right.
guys, the only way to make money is you ask people. So the difference between a good business that's efficient and a bad one is just they get more people to say yes than say no. A lot of you guys, you're beginners. Your biggest downfall will be not trying. You're like, oh, what are people going to think? What if this person says no? Oh, I don't have my offer ready. Oh, my brother's going to see it and think I'm a loser. And it's like, who cares?
Yeah, I don't really care if anyone thinks I'm a loser or anything. I just don't know where to start. I didn't. I thought about going to friends and family for
Yeah,
just
you
offering.
can. So look, let's just break it down. I'll give you all the options, and these are your only options. Okay. So look, here we go. You got Five Guys posts. We just covered that, right? So everyone should know what that is. You have 2 steps. Okay. You have cold DMs, which means you're reaching out to someone and you're like, hey, Tanner, super sick car. I love Corvettes. How's it run? And then you have to transition into that. And we have trainings around this. So if you're like, well, how do I do a cold DM? We have trainings, or I have YouTube videos where I go through this and I'll get to get those to you because like we have stuff. The other
So
one is go ahead.
just find a sense of connection with them somehow.
Correct.
Basically, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I'll walk you through a fitness one. IG boosted posts, and that's pretty much it, bro. There's no other way to get sales. And then, oh, excuse me, referrals or family, right? So you can ask your family, correct. So those, if there's anything, there's nothing outside of this that can help you get it. Most people, what they do is I say, start here. And then if you have a little bit of cash you can spend, you could go here. The downside when you spend money is what? If you're not very good yet, you're going to waste more money.
Right.
So the safest stuff is this stuff. Why? Because it's all free. This is the one you have to pay for, right? But those are the only ways. Now, really quick, and then we'll go into more questions. I want to make sure everyone gets their stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's say I'm reaching out to someone. I might say like, hey, John, sick car. I love, Raris. How's it run? This is bad English, but I'm trying to be fast. And he's like, oh, John's like, I love it. It's my fave. Whatever. And I'm like, we'll say this is me. So I'll go up here. So I just want to show you a quick transition. So I'd be like, yeah, dope, dude. Looks cool. Dope. Looks good. What do you do for work? And John's like, I am an engineer. And then I go, cool. Does it keep you busy? And he's like, most people will say yes in some form. He's like, yeah, I'm super busy. No one's like, yeah, I'm lazy. Everyone says that. And I go, then I transition. I'm like, yeah, I can only imagine. I used to be an engineer, and I actually was, right? I used to be an engineer. I'm curious, does that make it hard to work out? I know sometimes the hours are crazy, and then you're in the pitch.
Right.
And then John goes like, yeah, it is. And I'll be like, yeah, I get it. I get it. What's your goal? And then guess what happens? He's like, da 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 da. And I'm like, what's the struggle? Right. And then
does that lead you into the conversation?
yeah,
Gotcha.
and then like we have a script for it, and then I get them on a call, and then that's how I start working it. So cold DMs are the hardest, but they're free, and you can do the most, right?
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, all right. Who's next?
So I got a call today with somebody at 12. I had a conversation with them over Facebook Messenger, and she was interested, wanted to hear more. I gave her kind of a rundown, the word I'm looking for. I didn't give her a price or anything.
Okay.
And I got her booked on a call. I'm supposed to call in a couple hours. Being fairly new to this, is there anything that you could like what should I be going over? It's going to be a 15-minute call beforehand, like how kind of give me a rundown of
so 15 minutes. So 15-minute calls are really easy. So it's just it's what's called a set call. It's not a sales call, it's a set call, right? It's 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I just get on the call. Is your offer fitness? What's your offer?
Yeah. Fitness.
Okay, so I get on the call. I'm like, hey, John, super excited to talk to you today. This will be quick. It's only 15 minutes. I just really want to figure out, what you're struggling with, your goals, etc. At the end of the call, if everything sounds good, I'll have probably some more specific questions I'm going to send you via email. And then after that, we'll get on another call. Does that sound good? So I set the frame. And then they're like, yeah. I'm like, cool. What's your goal? I want to lose weight. What are you struggling with? Oh, I eat too many Twinkies. What have you tried? Oh, I've tried everything. You ever had a coach? Never had a coach. And then I'm like, okay, cool. Well, so John, look, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you an email. It's going to have some more follow-up questions on like foods you like, foods you hate, body fat, like just some specific stuff I'm not going to remember right now. Fill that out. And then when you fill that out, I'll get back in touch with you. We'll have another call. Sound good? They're like, yes. Then what I like to do when I was in your guys' shoes is I would come to, let me show you one of the first emails I ever sent. You guys can see 2017. So this was the OG days. And what I said is I sent this email. So I'll put this in a Google Doc and you guys can use it as a template. Okay. Now, the whole point of this email is, look what I said. I was like, hey, appreciate the talk. Thanks for scheduling with me. I know sustainability is hard in fitness, right? I'm not going to read it word for word. I was like, the reason I do this is I can only take on a limited amount of clients and I don't want to waste people's time. My takeaway is you need someone to show you exactly what to do and not just, put you through another BS program. You need to be taught so you can stop wasting money. My goal is to only take on super serious clients. If you're only kind of interested, this won't be a fit. So just be as honest as you can. And then I have all these questions: age, weight, body fat, foods you hate, days they're working out, whatever. I don't care about any of that. All I care about is this answer and this answer. This question I say, my programs are about teaching, not just ordering you around. I tell clients it's a one-time investment. After the program, you should never need another coach or program again because I teach you every last trick in the book. With that said, are you willing to invest financially, mentally, etc.? And then I said on a scale 1 to 10, are you a 10? The answer is important. And so at the bottom, he goes, yes, to the investment. And then here, he's like, it's a 10. So guess what? He's ready for the sales call. I know this guy can close. If he said, I'm at 5, or he says, I'm not going to invest, guess what I do? Hey, saw your email come through. Thanks for doing that. I saw in the email that you said you're not willing to invest. Like, can you walk me through that? Because if he's not going to invest and he's not serious, what's the point in taking the sales call unless you're doing it for practice, which I would recommend you guys do at this point. You guys should probably take every sales call for practice. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely.
So your 15-minute call, I don't care what she says. All you want to do is get her to like you, to send the email, and the email is like your application. Every one of you guys who came in our program, you signed the application and got on a call, did you not? Why did we do that? Because we don't want to talk. If you were like, I have 3 nickels, it's like, then why are we getting on a call with you? Because I need my sales team to be efficient, right? So you guys, everything you guys have done to become a client is exactly what you're going to do to get other clients. Does that make sense? But just keep it simple. Yeah. You don't need funnels and all this fancy stuff I have now. All you need is really basic stuff. 15-minute call. You can send an email. You set up the sales call from there. And then as you have questions, you post in your pod. And you're like, hey, what do I say to this? They said this, and that's where the coaches can help you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, who's next?
I guess I have a follow-up. So initially, how do you take payment?
Yeah, I use Wave, PayPal. You can use Stripe. Where do you live? What country?
I'm in Texas.
Yeah, I would use Wave. I like Wave a lot. If you can't use Wave, the next easiest is PayPal for now, but make sure you get agreements, because if people charge back without agreements, you're going to lose the money. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For an agreement, did you sign an agreement with us?
Yep.
Use that as your template. The agreements are mostly for chargebacks, guys. I've been to court and I'm a seasoned vet in court. Contracts mean basically nothing in court. Very little. Judges can basically rip a paper up and say it's not fair.
Yeah.
So don't worry about that. Okay. All right. Do you guys have questions about anything?
So I don't really have questions just yet, mostly because most of what you're saying, I just went through my business certification program. And so I'm kind of in the process of getting everything ironed out for myself, because I know when you're looking at business coaching, you have to have your ducks kind of more in a line. You can't just throw caution to the wind and hope people sign up. I have a fairly structured process. I just need my landing page set up basically for now to get them to take my assessments and do that type of thing. So
just so you know, I have no problem with that roadmap. But
Mhm.
also you said something interesting. I don't want you to think like you have to have XYZ set up. The way I got my first business clients, you know how I got them? I was doing millions of dollars in fitness and people said, can you coach me? And I was like, I don't really want to. They're like, please. And I was like, okay. And I took their payment and then I got on a call like this and I recorded it. And then as I got new clients, guess what? They would watch the recorded video.
Yeah,
And then
but I don't have millions of dollars of clients that I've
No,
helped.
for
That's
sure,
an
for sure.
organization that I've helped. And so people aren't lining up out the door to ask me.
For
to
sure, for sure. But just keep in mind, all you have to do is be one step ahead. So
Yeah.
as long as you can show them the next step in the line,
Mhm.
you don't have to have all 12 steps hammered out. Like as long as you have step one and they're at step one, they can start there and then you can go to step two and you make step two as they're at step one. So again, like whatever's comfortable for you, but just as long as you can show them the next step, you're good. You don't have
I
to.
started like putting out there, like, hey, come like, let me know, drop a comment if you want to take my free assessment. I'll send you the link to take it, that sort of thing. So that's kind of my goal right now is I have this assessment. It's a business assessment I can get them to take that then diagnoses everything for me. And I have a curriculum to follow.
Nice.
So the next part is just going to be kind of like boosting my posts and getting further reach. And I changed a setting in my reels that was like making it not be published on Facebook properly. So
Okay, great. Yeah. And guys, for boosted posts, I'm a big fan. And the reason I like them is they're very cheap and it gives you guys a little bit, it makes you guys a little less anxious because I notice what people are like, oh man, like I have to reach out to people but just keep in mind, there's a little bit more risk if you're not very good at messaging or sales calls yet, right? Because now you're paying money. So for example, people will see elite CEOs. They're like, man, how does Tanner get so many clients? Well, I spend a lot of money. But the reason I'm confident to spend a lot of money is I know our process is dialed in that we're going to get X amount of calls, X amount of people sign up, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So you guys can do boosted posts at any time. If you're like, I don't want to cold DM someone, or I don't want to do a two-step or whatever, you can, but just remember there's a little bit more risk. In fact, one of my favorite boosted posts is a 5 guys. So remember we did the 5 guys? So you could post on your IG and boost that. And all these people, and what I usually tell people is to DM you. Or not, excuse me, not DM you, comment down below. And then as they comment on the post, you can message all the people who comment on the post.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Who's next?
A question, but just a comment for like just another one. I don't know if you're on LinkedIn. I'm also in cybersecurity. I'm also in cybersecurity, and in several of the groups that I'm in, I have seen fitness people hop into those groups for software engineers, computer people, and just like post like, "Hey, do you struggle with a desk job and you need someone to coach you with just how to get outside and get your feet up?" And they'll do a poll, and then you're commenting and connecting with those people. So just like another opportunity.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Does anyone else have a question about anything?
So Danny, you did fitness. What apps do you like for your online clients?
Like the fulfillment?
No, the apps like for the workouts, nutrition, things like that.
Yeah, so at the time, this was years ago. At the time, I had Trainerize and I also did MyFitnessPal. I know now that we're mostly pushing PT Distinction, and it's kind of pick your poison. I would say the pros of PT Distinction are the cons of Trainerize and vice versa. At the end of the day, it doesn't really matter as long as you're comfortable. I know mostly what we teach in our mastermind is like PT Distinction. We just felt it was like better overall, but we have clients who use both. Keep in mind, it doesn't really matter as long as you like the service and you like what you're doing. There's pros and cons to both. It's kind of weird because you'd think like they would just strengthen, like Trainerize would do what PT does and PT would do what Trainerize does, but they don't. So it's your call. We also use eatthismuch.com. It's how we do like our nutrition plans for clients. It's really cheap, gives a lot of options. It's really flexible, can move stuff in and out. Back in the day, we used Nutrition Evolution, I think, or Evolution Nutrition, but we don't use that now. So what I did in the beginning was Trainerize, Evolution Nutrition, I believe, or Nutrition Evolution. I don't remember. I think it was Evolution first, and MyFitnessPal. Now it's PT Distinction, Eat This Much, and that's pretty much it. But whatever you use is fine. I mean, it doesn't matter. It only matters if like you want to use what we kind of teach in the program, and we don't want to teach too many things in the program because it gets people confused, obviously. Yeah.
Thanks.
Do you have did you have a question?
Yeah, I think I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe you can help. Like basically, I'm having. I was thinking, is it necessary to do the discovery call for like the 10 minutes before? Because I have a big following. I have people inbound leads
No.
that actually. Okay.
No, so so think of it this way. If they don't know who you are and you just reached out, it's usually best to do a discovery call, because if you reached out to Tanner, like if you reached out to me and I don't know who you are and you're like, hey, want to get on a sales call? It's like, you're weird. But if they followed you and it's like, hey, you're just like, hey, yeah, what's your goals? What are you struggling with? You can go straight to the sales call. I also go straight to the sales call from ads. The only time I usually have done a discovery call is with fitness in the beginning, if it's like a cold reach out. Does that answer your question? Yeah. So
yeah, super clear, because basically I'm getting them also in the sales call. And my big question is, since I'm perceived as the star, having almost 1 million followers, etc., like doing the sales call, I get people coming in the sales and they're like, oh yeah, but give me the suggestion right now, give me the suggestion right now. And that's pretty sick. And I have a girl that actually asked me out with the sales, but I'm like, okay, but I should know how to sell. I used to sell, but now the question is, should I be selling up front, like be the guy that sells them and then puts them in the program? I have questions on that.
I think to start, yeah, because like you can't have someone do something that you don't know how to do or you can't teach them to do. What it sounds like you're not doing is you're not having them fill out an application, right?
I've copied your application, basically, that episode's out, like the one that you sent, guys, and I took out of it. I mean, I saw that. I said, okay, this is a great application because it allows me to actually vet the people that don't want to spend any money on us. So basically, that's what I'm doing by now. They fill it up, yeah.
Yeah, like if you get someone on a call and they're saying, give me a suggestion right now, then that means you don't have a good application. They shouldn't be asking that. Like if they're getting on the call and they don't think it's a sales call where they have to spend money, then your application's not good, or you're not, if I'm on a sales call and someone says that, I'm like, well, I mean, this call isn't for me to just give you suggestions right now. This call is to see if you'd like help. I charge for my services. If you're interested in that, I can continue the call. If you're not, no worries. Like this just isn't going to be a call that's worth your time because I don't do free services.
Okay, so it's something like that. I think that will help me out. It's some kind of a little objection that I've been getting like once every 5 calls. So yeah, that's basically the way that I could be framing.
Yeah, you're not doing a free call. No, it's not free. They want free stuff. They can watch your YouTube or your Instagram.
Yeah, plenty of them, plenty of it.
Exactly. Yep.
Super. Thanks.
Yeah, man. You have a question?
I got a good question, actually. That obviously I'm just starting here. I know you want to sell the minimum viable product.
Yeah.
If I'm able to make sales right now and I haven't started your program, should I continue? Should I really try for that, or should I wait until I get a little bit more established with what you guys are doing?
What's your offer?
Sorry, so my offer is I'm an airline pilot, a former military pilot, former college athlete. Everyone gains weight, like the freshman 15, when they go into the airline industry.
Okay, so fitness related, yeah?
Fitness, yeah.
Yeah, so the answer is yes, because the whole point of you guys being here is to make money, which means you have to make sales. If you make a sale and you're worried about how to do the fulfillment, we can walk you through that very quickly. And you can tell someone, say, hey, give me about 3 days to get your program together, and then I'm going to get that to you. And then between the time you sell them and the 3 days, you can build out the program. The way business works, guys, is you'll stay alive and afloat if you make sales. But if you don't make any sales, you don't have a business and you can't sustain it. So as long as you're making sales, and the thing too is like when you start a business and you make your initial sales, your customer service isn't perfect. And it usually will never be perfect. But over time, it gets better and better and better and better. And so, yeah, to answer your question, yes, sling, dude. Start selling it. And then
few people who are like me already, and I've just started. So I've just been hesitant to actually offer something because I want to make sure that it's consistent with what I'm going to do with you guys. But that's totally right. I can give them time when I feel like, hey, I'll get back to you. I'm working on your program. Give me 3 days. And
and keep in mind, dude, like fulfillment for fitness is pretty straightforward. Like most people don't care what you tell them as long as it works. It's the same thing for elite CEOs. Like you guys don't really care. You just want the easiest way to get results.
Yeah.
So keep in mind, most of the clients we get are having sales and lead issues. So the fulfillment should be the least of your concerns because that's the easiest to fix. And you're very knowledgeable, right? Like I don't need to tell you what a macro is and what protein is. And like, you get that. So don't overthink it. If you're making sales, keep making sales. And then if you have questions about fulfillment, we can walk you through it. And keep in mind, you can always change it. Guys, my first 20 clients, they had an Excel spreadsheet. It was so ugly. It was like food, chicken, and it was like in cells. It looked terrible, but they didn't care because they're just like, yeah, I get results. And I was just like, yeah, I'm working on an app. It's going to be done in 60 days. And then that was like my trainerized and PT distinction stuff. The big thing is nothing's a big deal. Like you guys will think stuff's a big deal. Like as you get older in life and you have businesses, like you just realize nothing's a big deal. It's never a big deal. So yeah, I think just sling away, bro. And then if you have questions and you are worried, you just give yourself a few days and you're fine.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
one of the things I'm struggling with, and we haven't covered it yet, but
Okay.
is how to quantify the package price.
Yeah, great question. The easiest way for me to answer this is usually my baseline to make it worth it is like $1,500. You can sell it for whatever price, but the question you guys have to ask yourself is, if I have to do a service for this client, is it worth it at this price? So are you guys all in ELA? Is everyone here in ELA? Okay. So even for ELA, we're like, what's the number that they have to pay for it to make sense for us to do calls like this, for us to give them a coach, etc. That should be the same thought. So typically I recommend 1,500 for minimum of like 1,500 for 4 months is like the bare bones. But if you got a client, you're like, yo, Tanner, I haven't had any clients and they're willing to pay me 1,000 and I'm willing to do the work for 1,000, then great. There's a number that each of you have. I promise you that someone's like, I'll pay you $100. You're like, nah. They might say 200. You're like, then they're like 300. You're like, oh, okay, like maybe. And then they're like, yeah. So every one of you has a number. And as your business gets bigger, that number gets bigger and bigger. So what I would say is whatever number you're comfortable with to start there. I usually recommend 1,500. And then as you make sales, you keep going up and up and up and up because you're building confidence. But if your number's 1,000, sell it at 1,000. It just has to be worth your time, because there comes a point in a business where if I go, well, I could get this client for $500, or I could keep doing sales calls and I'm going to get a client later at $3,000. Well, that's 6 clients at 500, right? So it's just kind of knowing that. I would say if you're starting brand new, bro, just pick the number you're comfortable with and you can always raise it later. Just, you want a number that when you're on the call, you're like, I know it's worth this amount and I know I can sell it at this amount. And then you get your first sale. And then what happens? Action gets results, which builds confidence, which makes you take more action, which gets more results, which builds confidence. It's a circle, right? So where a lot of you guys are right now is you don't have any confidence because you haven't gotten any results, but you haven't taken any action. That's why starting is the hardest. But as you take action and you get results, guess what happens? Confidence. And then it's like that snowball down the hill. And then all of a sudden you have all this momentum, right?
No, I do completely understand that. So I guess I'm interested from your side of the table, the difference between having a number for a dollar amount for your package as compared to the value it adds to their life. And I guess what I'm getting at specifically when you're dealing with different type of clients. So if you have a client that's a CEO compared to a client that's not a CEO, I mean, the value that adds to their life, the things that they're going to get from it, the ways that they're going to be able to be better. What's your thoughts on that?
So when I was in your guys' shoes, I just realized that if I didn't charge enough money, I was never going to get out of the situation I was in. And then I said, okay, well, what if I charge someone too much? And then I was like, well, maybe I'll feel bad. But ultimately, people are going to spend the money either way. So you have to feel deep down that them spending the money with you is better than them spending the money with someone else or on something else. And if you don't feel confident in that, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You might be doing the wrong thing. Like, I don't know. If you don't think that you're good enough to be here, then why are you here? That's number one. I think you guys all think you're good enough to be here. You wouldn't have spent your time or money, right? I mean, I'm assuming so. So the way I did it is I said, okay, for me to get out of my situation, I got to be making about 10,000 a month. So I said, okay, if I don't sell it for at least 1,500 or 2,000 bucks, it's not going to be worth my time to start. And I raised my price to 3,200 for 4 months. That was kind of my average price. And then number two is I go, well, what if like I charge too much? And like, is that going to help their life enough? The thing is, when people pay a lot of money, 2 things happen. One, they take it more seriously. That's important. Part of you guys getting results here is I can tell you, you guys have been on this call for about 45 minutes. If you get off the call and the second you get off the call, you don't do the rest of the day, this is totally worthless, because everything I told you to do, you're just like, oh yeah, it sounds good. And then you don't do it. So when people pay more, guess what? They pay more attention. It hurts more, right? If you guys spend $100 to be here, probably wouldn't care. You're just like, yeah, it's $100. Who gives a But if you spend 5,000 or 10,000, it's like, oh, that's a lot of money. So you pay more attention. And then number two is you get a better client. Like, guys, better clients, it's more fun, because the irony is typically the more people pay, they ask for less help. They have shown by being able to pay more money that they're resourceful. That's an adult trait that you want. And then it's also going to get you to your goal. If you guys sell a cheap program that helps people, but it doesn't help you, you're going to lose your luster for it. You're like, yeah, I mean, I'm helping a lot of people, but I only get $100 a pop and I can't pay my bills. So I just view it as, where do you need to go to hit your goals? That's the price that you set, right? And then understand that the people who pay you more will get a better experience. They'll take it more seriously. They'll be better clients, and they're going to spend the money either way. So unless you are purposely trying to screw people over, which I hope you guys are not, because there will be people in business eventually, you'll have enough clients where someone's going to think you're a piece of Or they'll be like, oh, this person, they have no moral, like that's business, but you know you. And what you think about you is all that matters. So if you genuinely are trying to help people and you charge a lot of money for it and they're willing to pay it, you've done nothing wrong. You don't need to feel bad for charging people a lot of money. That's not your problem. People spend all kinds. I go to the store, dude. I see girls in there, $2, $3, $4, $5, $6,000 on a purse that's this big. And they open the purse and they put in a quarter and they close it. And I'm like, I mean, the girls here are laughing and they know what I'm talking about. It's absurd. And then they go, oh, but you're going to charge me $2,000 to save my life? Like, come on. So it's just all perspective. And I just knew I knew what I was doing. I knew I could help people and I wasn't going to feel guilty for doing what was going to bless me and my family. The thing too, dude, is as I've made more money, it's like I help a lot of people and a lot of people don't see it because I don't go around parade about it, but I help a lot more people being rich than I did being poor. And you don't need to feel bad about that. Does that help?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Okay. Do you guys have any other questions?
I just tell you, you're super right. I mean, I got that. Like, I was getting underpaid with my consultings, and I feel like I'm not getting paid enough. Like 1 hour, $200 is like, okay, that's not enough. I don't. And people just don't give a f. Maybe I should raise.
Yeah,
the
they
price.
don't care.
Yeah, they don't care. Yeah.
Yeah, because the amount of money they spent doesn't matter. That's part of why when people pay more money for, like, let's say an experience. So let's say you get a table at a club or you pay for like a singer to come to your birthday. That's why it makes it so fun because it's so like they amp it up because it's so expensive. But if it was like, oh, you can get, you know, David Guetta to come spin at your party for $100, well, then everyone would do it and then no one cares. They're like, yeah, like David Guetta does it at everyone's party. That's part of why paying more is important, guys. And the cool thing is like you'll have more conviction in your selling because when you ask people for a lot of money, guess what? You guys spent a lot of money to be here, right? So it's like, I'm only asking you to do what I've done. People will go, Tanner, you don't know what it feels like. Well, I've spent 3 million on coaching. What have you spent? Oh, I'm like, yeah. So, I mean, I do know what it feels like. I actually know it to a way worse degree than you. I have a coach who I paid $200,000 who sees me once every 2 weeks for 2 hours. That's all I get. No questions, no texting. It's like, I get 2 hours. The 2 hours is up. That's it. I'm not saying that's a bad coaching session, but for $200,000, holy hell, you know, it's a lot. So yeah. Anyone else have a question, comment, concern?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. What's up? Yeah, go.
Thanks for your help.
No worries. Yeah.
So my thing is I have a lot of people coming to me for advice and I like struggle converting them into clients and I just give a lot of information away for free.
Okay. So what's your question? Like how to stop doing that?
Yeah. Or like how do I eventually get them to buy from me and become a client rather than just them?
Yeah. So your job is not to just give away advice because if you give the advice away, they're not going to buy. It's like if you came to me and you said, hey, Tanner, how do I build my business? I said, well, do this, 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 and this. And you're like, oh, okay, great. And I'm like, oh, by the way, like, do you want to buy my program?
Right.
There's no point in buying the program because you already gave it away. So it's a little bit in depth with messaging, but the goal of messaging typically in a conversation is we want to get it to move. So like, remember we did the cold DM part earlier? Let me show you this part. Remember we were like talking about how a cold DM might work? At the end of the day, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get them to a point where they agree that they need help and then we are able to offer help. So in a typical conversation that we're getting to a sales goal is we ask what the goal is, what's the struggle, what have they tried, have you ever had a coach, and then we offer to help. Help means, let me give you an example of how this could sound. So let's say who was on this call who said they have 1 million followers. Okay, so let's say someone reaches out and goes, I really need some help with my fitness. I'm not sure what to do. Let me role play how this would probably sound. I go, yeah, no worries. Thanks for following me. What's your goal? Well, I'd like to lose 20 pounds. I'm like, great. What are you struggling with? Well, you know, I've tried a bunch of different diets. You know, they just haven't worked. I don't know what to do. And he's like, okay, like, what have you tried before? And he's like, well, you know, like I said, I did these diets. I've done this. I was like, okay. And like, have you ever had a coach? And like, no, I've never had a coach. Like, I just can't afford it. I might be like, okay, well, like, why can't you afford it? What do you mean? Well, my bills are tight. Yeah, but you said like you want to lose weight and you can't do it and you don't know how, but you also don't want to pay for it. I guess I'm confused. How do you think you're going to fix the problem? Well, you know, it's like, well, I'll tell you what, like I do this fitness stuff all day long. I can give you some pointers, but I do charge for my services. Are you willing to invest in something like this? I mean, I don't know. It's like, well, there's no pressure. Like, I'm just here to help. But if you're not willing to invest in anything, I probably won't be the guy for you because I do charge for my services because I'm really good at what I do. Notice how everything I'm doing is getting them to tell me what their issues are. And then I get them to admit that they need help. And then I offer help in the way of a call. What you're doing is you're probably telling them, well, what's your goal? Well, I want to lose 20 pounds. Cool. So like, here's what you need to do. That's not your job. Your
Okay.
job is to figure out where they're struggling. Like it's those 5 things. Like I'll type them in the chat. Typically it's gonna be goal, struggle, what they've tried, coach, and then you offer help. Now, a lot of times you guys won't do this correctly and you'll say, well, what do I say here? What do I say there? But this is kind of like the outline, right? So the specifics can change slightly, but ultimately, if you guys go and look at the conversations you had with myself or my team or whoever spoke to you to get you on the call, you guys are going to notice the same pattern. They probably were asking what your goal was. They probably asked what you're struggling with. They probably asked if you've tried a coaching program before. You probably said XYZ. You might have had an objection like, yeah, I did, it sucked, or, yeah, I don't really have the money. They beat the objection and then they offered help. They're like, well, look, like if you want, we could help you. We could get you on a call and you could see if it's a fit. And then that's what you guys did is you booked a call. You need to use that same thing. If I tell you everything up front, the problem is if we lived in a world where we didn't have bills, that's fine. But since we do live in a world where we have to pay bills, that doesn't help you. You can't just help everyone for free. At least not now. Now, if you become a multi-billionaire, yeah. But in the beginning, you got bills to pay, you got mouths to feed. Like we got to get paid for our help or it's not worth our time.
Perfect. Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. And then guys, like the big thing is understanding the concepts. If you're trying to apply the concepts and you're not getting results, that means you're probably not doing it right. And then that's where you would ask for help. Hey guys, they said this, I said that. Or hey guys, they said this, I'm thinking I should say this. What do you think? And that's where you guys can help each other, right? Because it's just like getting on a date. If you say the wrong thing, you might not get the date, right? But in business, we're like, oh, I never do anything wrong. It's like, I mean, you're probably doing something wrong, right? So just be really critical of yourself, be open to feedback. And then the last thing is just try. The thing is, guys, the person who has less skill, who tries harder, will get better results than the person who has more skills and doesn't try as hard. Because it's not if you'll be successful, it's when. Everything we're teaching you guys, no matter how stupid you think it is, like, I don't care if you think this is the dumbest thing ever. You're like, I know all this. This is so stupid. Remember, this is how you became a client. So what that would mean is you're stupid for buying stupid stuff from stupid people. You get what I mean? So I don't think any of you guys think you're dumb. So you got to go, okay, if this worked for Tanner and this has worked to help him get to where he's at, then this can also work for me. And that should be enough to push through any adversity that comes your way. Because if you've been in the program and you haven't at some point said, this is stupid, this, I hate this, I don't know if I'm wasting my time. If those thoughts haven't come up, you may not be trying hard enough because they will come, I promise. And you just have to be willing to push through that because that's part of why success means something, because everyone feels that. And then you have 2 options. You either drop off or you push through. And then that's the difference between people who you aspire to be and people who don't. That's it. Yeah. You got one more. I got time for one more. It's the last one. I got to bounce.
Yeah, I know we're running low on time. Your the price objection. I watched you do that. That's phenomenal. What about I need more time objection?
So usually when they say I need more time, I go, well, to make decisions, it doesn't take time. It takes information. So what information do you need from me that you don't have quite yet? Because what they're saying is, think about this logically. They're saying that if they have another week, that they're going to be able to make a better decision. But if no new information has actually come, that's not correct. That's incorrect, right? So I usually will say that and I go, what information do you need? And then usually it's a smoke screen. So they'll say, well, you know, it's price, or they'll say, well, it's my spouse. It's usually bullshit is what I'm trying to tell you. I do have a time objection. We'll wrap on this. So if someone gives a time objection, right? Yeah. So if they say that, I'm like, well, this is when someone's like, I need time. I'm like, well, do you know what deciding means? It means to cut off. So are we cutting off the future of your dreams or your passive inaction? Because if you know these 3 things, you actually know what to do. Do you think you're more or less likely to hit your goal working with me? Yeah, I think I am. Okay. Do you believe I'm going to give you what I said I would? Do you believe I'm going to give you what I promised? Yeah. Do you have access to funds? Yeah. Well, then you actually know what to do. So let's do it. But a lot of times, just so you know, when they say that, it's a bullshit. They're just saying, I need time. And so if you just go, well, you know, making a decision doesn't take time, it takes info. What other info do you need? Usually that's enough to get them to like, go tell you like, well, it's actually this, or it's actually that. Does that help?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to drop this in the group, guys. Love you guys. Hope that was helpful. Have a great day. Hang in there. Praying for you guys. My heart's with you. And I'll see you guys next time. Okay. Have a good day. Bye.